Welcome to another episode of the FFV podcast. Today, I have another amazing guest known as NFTBark on X, co-author of the book, The Everything Token, a thought leader in the Web3 space, and co-host of his daily morning show, Coffee with Captain. Welcome the legend himself, Steve Kaczynski. How are you doing today, man? Thanks for hopping on the show.
Doing pretty well. Appreciate you having me. Always good to join a legend.
Oh, dude, that coming from you, man, that means the world, man. I definitely, I see you out there. You're killing it, man. In a way, dude, not gonna lie, I'm putting it out there. I look up to your content, man. I look up to you, man, just because your style of content is a little bit more towards my gear. I really like what you do and love the daily spaces, man. I just super happy that I got you on here to pick your brain,
Yeah, thanks, man. No, I appreciate that. It's fun because I kind of decided early on when I got into particularly Web3, because I'd been around X before on and off, kind of quieter. But when I really got into Web3, I made this decision. I'm like, I am going to be as myself as humanly possible, which means I'm a goober dad who cares about mass adoption and regulation and, still loves to GGen casino, but just being myself as much as possible just makes it so it's not exhausting. So maybe a tweet gets 500 views, maybe a tweet gets 500,000 views, but as long as it's me, I feel good about it.
Okay, nice. You see, and I'm just gonna, I try to be myself too, man. I've never done social media before X or NFTs or anything like that, man. So I really didn't know that there was practices that people did. Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know that there is personas and characters and things like that. I didn't know how to do any of that stuff. So the only thing I had to do was just was be myself, man. So it was a good kind of ignorant is a bliss in a way, but in a good way, because I didn't go on about, fake it till you make it. And, all these other not even Web3, because Web3 is just too early, but the influence outside of the space, man, it's entertainment. And don't get me wrong, but it's not really them at the end of the day, but yeah. Dude, I'm really excited to pick your brain about what you're doing and your thoughts on this space. But before we jump into that, would love to hear how you got started. So how did you first discover crypto, and what about crypto made you want to stay here?
It's funny. I always kind of say, I'm going to take you on the long walk around the block. I'm not going to go straight on this one because it's a really old story of just me always being into tech. So I go back to the mid 90s. I'm 40 years old. So 95, 96, 97. I'm in middle school and I discovered.
Dude, you look fucking great for 40 years old. God damn, son.
My man. I appreciate that more than you know. But yeah, I mean, 2 kids later and a few years of entrepreneurship, I've got some white hairs coming in. But no, I when I was in 5th, 6th, 7th grade, we started getting the internet at our school. And I remember I started learning about HTML and I was like, wait, so I can code something and someone in Paris, France or Munich, Germany can see exactly what I coded and know exactly how, this thing that I created. And it was now it seems so obvious, but in the mid 90s, the internet was barely a thing. Right. And I started doing that. But at the time I had teachers and adults and people say that's really cute. We're glad you're passionate about it, but you need to figure out what you're going to do when you grow up because there's nothing there. It's the internet, right? Go get a real job, doctor, lawyer, whatever. So I kind of set that aside and didn't go as hard at that. Flash forward to 2004, 2005, I get Facebook in my college. I'm at Ohio State. I get Facebook. And the first person who adds me as a friend is someone I haven't seen since 4th grade. And I looked at that and I was
cool. That's cool.
Well, and it was this moment where the internet, I had that click moment. And then Facebook, I had this click moment where I'm like, wait a minute, I can connect with people in this way. And I saw that social network. Similar story, Twitter in 2007, 2008, early on with a completely different account. Long story why I've been on and off there. But as I got on Twitter, I remember when the plane landed on the Hudson River way back when. And, the first reports that came were from a ferry that had people taking pictures and posting them on Twitter. And I had this click moment when I'm like, oh, this isn't what you ate for breakfast. This is real-time news, but very similar. People are no one cares what you ate for breakfast. This is stupid. So kind of shelved it, never chased it down. Flash forward to 2017. Now we're getting into crypto. I don't even remember how I discovered Bitcoin and ETH, but I started buying it on Coinbase. And it's funny because I was managing a department at a Fortune 500 at the time. And my team will back me up that I whiteboarded why I thought Ethereum was really, really important because I would be like, look, you can build these contracts, which can build businesses on top of it. It's like a business on Bitcoin. And of course, they humored me and listened to me. But then again, I wasn't on crypto Twitter. So Crash comes out 2008 or 2018, 2019, and I just sell everything, maybe at a loss, maybe at a small gain, whatever it was. And I've done the math. If I kept dollar cost averaging the way I was, I wouldn't be here right now. I would just be sitting here on a pile of money.
Shit.
So like one of those heavy, hard learnings about dollar cost averaging and everything, but sold it all. But then, flash forward to 2021, like early 2021, and I discover NBA Top Shot. Now I'm a collector. My dad collected cards. I've always been a collector. And I read what it is, and it says an NFT. Now, while Top Shot was built on Flow, when I looked up what is an NFT, ETH was like the prominent chain that people were using at the time. And it was like an NFT, basically, in so many words, is a business or a collectible built on the Ethereum blockchain. So my mind clicks, and I have this moment where I'm like, wait a minute. This thing is built on the thing, crypto and Ethereum, which is built on the thing, the internet, that I've been obsessed with. And by this point, I had a 15-year career in public relations, marketing, communications, feeling really good about where I was at. And I'm like, you know what? With a wife, 2 kids that were, 7 and 9 at the time, a new puppy, I'm like, fuck it. Let's throw it to the wind. Let's go ahead and let's give this thing a shot. So, I learned every single thing I could about it in 2021. 9 months later, I co-authored the first Harvard Business Review article about NFTs. 3 months, 3 months after that, dude. I'm sitting full time. I start working in the space, and thankfully, when I jumped out of the plane, the parachute came out, and I've been full speed ahead since then. Everything from Starbucks to the book to consulting to the whole 9 yards.
Woo. And dude, I can't wait to get into that, man. That's the stuff that I think is very valuable, especially coming from like your experience, man, and the things that you went through just in the short amount of time, man. I think that your experience is so valuable. It needs to be recorded, man, because holy shit, man, that's a good place to be, man. And like, now I wanted to raise this question, man. Because I'm like kind of a pattern guy. I'm starting to ever since I got into crypto, man, I'm starting to understand that there's a lot of patterns, a lot of cycles, and do you see similarities between Web 2 starting and Web 3 in the terms of like the doubts? It's a fad. Like, is this just thing running over and over and over again, like a cycle in a way?
Yeah, technology is always like this. So I always tell people the tax of being early is everyone's going to call you an idiot.
Okay.
The benefit of being early is that in a few years you get to be right and call them an idiot. So it's like this weird like thing that happens, because I saw this because I had, again, I mentioned teachers, hey, internet, not a big thing, passing fad. Even when you looked at, we couldn't picture credit cards in the 90s. Like I remember in the 90s, you could find videos of people at Burger King paying in credit cards and being like, they're like, I'm never going to pay not in cash. And, streaming video and Netflix. And I even give the example of like, in my lifetime, besides the fact that cell phones, like the smartphone didn't exist 20 years ago, and now we host X spaces to thousands of people on our smartphone. You just think about like all these different pieces of technology. Like my parents used to go to the store to pay in a check to like hand to a cashier. And now everyone banks online. You never would have expected it. So you start to look at these innovations and they're always seen as crazy. You wouldn't do it. Video games at one point were questioned as a passing fad. So like, this is what happens with new technology. People are resistant. This one's really over financialized. And I think that has an aspect to it. But just like the early internet, there's a tech barrier. There's a cost barrier. You used to have to pay for dial-up internet and AOL and all these other things to get on. Now it's like everybody can get it, like, or at least in developed countries. So I've seen a ton of correlations. And I honestly think that, sort of these crypto rails is the next base layer of the internet for so many applications. We already know that BlackRock is looking to do an entire exchange, the Texas Stock Exchange, built on the transparency and efficiency of the blockchain. So I just see that continuing in all these different applications. And I'm just excited to help try to accelerate that as much as I can. And like, that's sort of my passion is like, I've spent years being early and being told I'm wrong. How can I accelerate this tech world so that consumers and businesses and individuals and everybody in between can have some sort of aligned incentive structure and some sort of benefits from this technology that's coming out? Because it's so good. We just need to get it over the goal line.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, man. And we're going through a lot of growing pains, as you've seen, there's a lot of stuff that's going on that, isn't very favorable for like the normal everyday consumer. But I think that's just the things that we have to go through to get to where we want to be, man. And you know, you brought up something that I was very, you had your kids, you had your family, you had a great job. What made you make that jump, man? Like it takes a lot of nuts to do that. You know what I mean? Like, bro, you live in comfy, you live in great, you have, and you want to just jump into this. Like, how did you get like what I'm asking really is like, how did you get the courage to do something like that? Not a lot of people do that, my man.
Bro, I don't honestly like God, I wonder if I knew how hard it was going to be if I would go. I mean, in theory, I would go back and do it again, but like it was in retrospect, it's sort of like I think now I've learned this becoming an entrepreneur and a consultant is
Mhm.
that every entrepreneur, make an analogy. I got the two kids. We had one kid. There's all this diaper changing. My wife has to go through childbirth. We're like finally getting them out of diapers. My daughter's 2. Boom, we have another kid. Why? Because we're just like, oh, you know what? That's cool. Like we had one, we could do another. We forget how hard it is. I don't think I realized how hard it would be to start over. But I also get this weird excitement out of sucking at things and getting better at them, like learning a new skill or a
Mm.
new thing and sucking at it because then I get to get better at it and I get to learn and have those moments. And I'm sort of a lifelong learner. But to be honest, I don't even know. Like I was at a very cushy job in the sense that like it's an awesome job. I was working at Nestle at the time. I finished up at 9 years of Progressive. I was working at Nestle for a year. Amazing job working with some awesome brands, getting like DiGiorno on Jimmy Fallon and getting Hot Pockets on the Ellen DeGeneres show or Stouffer's, all these different crazy things.
Damn.
And so working with Hot Pockets on like gaming partnership PR and all these fun things. But I felt this like itch to be like, like
Mm.
I've lived my whole life letting other people tell me you're wrong and then finding out I'd be right. And it's not like I'm some smart big brain. It's just I notice early tech trends. I don't know why. I'm early to tech. I think it's just because I've always liked tech, video games, like that world. But like, man, it's like I kind of have this like come to Jesus talk with myself where I'm like, look, I've spent a career, a life doing that, right? Like just listening to other people tell me that I can't, I'm silly, it's a dumb dream. And I look at my parents as an example. Like I probably would have been an entrepreneur doing other things years ago, but my parents raised me in a way that it was the best way they knew how because they
Yeah.
were kids of first or second generation Americans. They thought you go to school, you get good grades, you go to college. If I got a B minus, I was grounded for the entire quarter till my next grades came in. So like
Damn.
this was like who my parents were, right? They're like,
Damn.
go to college, get a job. And
Color
so,
color between the lines kind of parents, yeah?
oh,
Yeah.
like my dad once left a party because weed was at the party.
Oh,
Like
damn.
that's so
My
that's
man, my man.
that's the difference. Now I work in Web3. And so it's like that was how I grew up. And I think I just had this like weird, maybe it was a midlife crisis. I was 37, I don't know. But I had this moment where I'm like, I feel like if I quit well, first of all, it helps that when I left Progressive, the CEO sent me a big letter that said no and all a bunch of O's, and the CMO said,
Damn.
let me know when you're ready to come back. And the CHRO texted me and said, when you're ready to come back,
That's awesome, dude.
it
That's
helps.
so awesome, man. Because not a lot of people are like, not a lot of people have that opportunity because they don't work as hard or make, great effort to really make a change in their work job life or role, and those people appreciated you so much that they did that for you, man. And it's crazy for me, man. So kudos to you, man. You worked your fucking ass off to get that kind of shit,
Yeah, it makes the jump a little easier. Like
Yeah.
same thing happened. I mean, the VP of comms at Nestle was like, "Let us know when you're ready to come back." So I'm like, "All right, even if I can't get a job here because they don't actually have something to fulfill, I just figured the real world will be there. So give it a shot." I gave
Facts.
myself like 18 months, and by then I had work. I'd written that HBR article. I had signed a book deal. I was talking to
Damn.
Starbucks. I was in TechCrunch and all these other. So by then I had realized like I think I can do this. And there's been a bunch of times when I've been like, am I cut out for this? Can I, swing this? Can I deal with the ups and the downs? At full out panic attacks and things. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, like I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And if I went back to the corporate world tomorrow, I gave it a shot and I did things I never would have done in my life before.
Man, dude, yeah, and it's that whole regret thing, dude, and it's I don't want to live like that, man. It's like I don't know, man. For me, man, what I've got from that is like, man, you got that fucking dog in you, bro. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that.
But and I'm glad that you said like about the tough times too, because we'll get into that later too as well. But like, it's very easy to post about the highlights, the good times and stuff like that. It's very easy. And I've had similar times as you, where am I really cut out for this? Do people really care? All that stuff. But I tell myself, man, I'm like, dude, it doesn't matter. Like, you just have to do it. If you do it, you're going to thank yourself when you're fucking 60 or 80 and you're like, I gave it a shot. Fuck it. And it didn't work out. I gave it a shot. I know the answer, So, yeah, man, I'm glad you brought that up because I know for a fact a lot of creators out there, especially in the past year or so, really got burnt out. I don't see as much content as I used to see back, especially during the polls, dude. Like, there's content flying everywhere. Everybody was doing it, and it's just it's kind of like a cycles too within your content creations journey, in my opinion. You're gonna have highs of highs, but goddamn, you're gonna have lows of lows, man. And yeah, I experienced both, and but you just gotta keep fucking going, bro. It sucks ass, but you gotta keep fucking going. But yeah, dude, I just appreciate you bringing that up, man. But back on to like the NFT stuff, man. I always wanted to hear your Bored Ape story, bro. How did you get into these Bored Apes, man? Like, what's your story?
So I was close to not getting into Bored Apes. It was kind of crazy. So
Oh, damn.
I was like learning everything about NFTs, Web3, etc. before Bored Apes had minted. And I had minted on Art Blocks before that. My first ETH NFT I minted was in Art Blocks. And I just fell in love with this idea of this non-fungible thing. I showed it to everybody. Some people got it, some didn't. And then in comes Gary Vaynerchuk, someone who I've been a lifelong fan of. And I've known since 2009 when he was Wine Library.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah, like I've been following him for years and years and years and years. And by the way, top quote on the back of my book endorsing it is Gary Vaynerchuk. So that was a crazy moment.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I did. That shit was
Crazy.
crazy, dude. I was like, oh fuck. And he doesn't do that. He rarely does that, dude. I've heard one of his podcasts. He's like, I don't sign books or do like that kind of stuff because I don't read books, and two, I just don't know what's in them. So for you to get that, dude, I was like, holy fuck, that's crazy, dude.
Well, low key, before the Bored Ape story, let me give you that story. I've only told it once before, which just since we're on it. So Gary is just like, obviously like he's somebody I've looked up to who's got me through hard times without like he became one of like the 5 most people I hang out with. You know how that works? Like it's like, like instead of like real life people, I listen to him constantly and it helped me a ton. And we got like a 15-minute meeting with him to ask him for blurb in the book. Now he's, my co-author's known him from when he came in at Harvard one time. And, I had spoken on the VCon stage at the community stage before. And so we get the meeting and we come on and he jumps on the meeting. It's like the coolest thing ever. And you feel like you're the only person in the room. He has this way of making you feel like you are it, like very like locked in. And he comes on with us and he goes, we have this whole thing planned. We're ready to go. And he just goes like, he goes, hey guys, good to see you. And we're like, hey, so do you have prior context for this meeting or do you need a TLDR? And he starts to answer. Then he stops for a second. He goes, give me the TLDR. So we give our backgrounds, we make a couple jokes, we talk about like, all these different things or whatever. And he's going through it. We're telling him our backgrounds and why we think it is and why it makes sense. And he stops us for a second. And when we're in like mid-sentence at one point, he goes, actually, he's like, just so you know, I actually had full context coming in the meeting, but I want to get a feel for you guys. I wanted to like make sure I understood you guys. And then he looks at us and goes, he's like, I'm not going to read, whatever. He's like, but I never blur books. I don't blur books at all. I don't write on the back, maybe once every 3 to 5 years. And he goes, but my instincts tell me you guys are it. I'll write you a quote. And we were just like, what?
Yo,
that's a confidence moment right there, man.
Oh yeah. Oh fuck yeah, dude. I would be up to dude. Man, dude, that's so cool, man. Congrats. And you deserve it, dude. Like shit, dude. I know I don't know if you hear it a lot, man, but you deserve that shit, dude. Like you've been putting in the fucking work, bro, but I had a kind of similar story with Gary V, man. I mean, fuck, dude. He changed my life, man, for real. Like I started listening into him in 2000, I'd say 2019, 20, something like that. And dude, I wasn't sad, or anything like that, or nothing like that. Dude, I was fucking mad. I was mad at the world. I hated the world. I hated people. And through his content, man, he just really made me have a different perspective in life, you know. And once he brought up, and you know, he really just fucking helped me with that stuff internally. But same thing with you, man. You know, I had a lot of, you know, I didn't have the greatest of groups around me, you know, and you know, he helped me fill that in that void of a different voice and opinion, you know. And he one day, man, I remember this clearly. One day I was sweeping a broom in my warehouse job, in my old warehouse job, and he's like, he's mentioned these fucking words. He's like, I don't know if you guys ever heard about this, but do you guys ever hear about NFTs? I was like, what the fuck is that? And he's like, NFTs is on the blockchain and you have to buy it with Ethereum. I was like, you know what, dude, this guy changed my whole fucking life, dude. Like, I think I'm just going to go all in. Fuck it. So dude, I didn't even know what Ethereum was. I knew what an NFT was before I knew what Ethereum was, dude. You know, I was like, oh, you have to get this currency to buy these fucking things, you know? And I'm like, holy shit, man. But ever since that, man, he gave me a free V
So was
friend.
a V friend? Was that your first mint? Was that your first NFT?
No, I bought a derivative of a CryptoPunk, and it was like, it looked like a headphone, man. And then and like a month later, I won that fucking Bored Ape. I won a Bored Ape on the timeline, and I was through the fucking roof. At the time, Bored Apes were $1,100. $1,100. I was like, dude, I'm set for life. This is forever, you know. And I'm good, you know. And the wild ride ever since that, man. But man, dude, it's so cool to hear like another person talk about Gary Vee and stuff like that, and especially the way you got into contact with it, man. That's so fucking cool, man. But going back to the NFTs, man, I really wanted to talk about the NFT space and where your head is at with it right now. Right now, we're experiencing, you know, all-time lows. You know, we have apes and pudgies under 10, Zuki doodles and mutants around 1 or 2 E. You know, I could go on. You know, but do you ever think that we'll ever see a comeback of NFTs?
So it's interesting. This question always kind of like throws me off because, like, on one hand, I couldn't tell you if the ETH NFT market will ever. I mean, I don't know. Like, it was definitely a little overcooked when Bored Apes were shooting for $400,000+. So, like, that was crazy. You know, those are crazy times. But at the same time, like, I don't know. Like, I can't make a case one way or the other right on these things. I don't know where price discovery is going to exist. But what I can say is, like, I do think that NFTs as a software solution are going to be absolutely everywhere, whether it's your license, your work credentials, you know, your, loyalty programs. Like, there's a gazillion ticketing, a gazillion applications. Are the ETH NFTs going to hit all-time highs again? I don't know, man. Like, I question that. And I don't think, and I think that's okay. Like, I think it's okay to have price discovery. You know what I mean? Like sometimes, like, a Bored Ape still cost $30,000.
Insane, right? Dude. I if I didn't own a Bored Ape, I don't think I could do that. You know what I mean? Like, fuck, that's 30 racks, dude. That's a lot of money for a lot of people. Yeah, dude, yeah. Holy shit, man. Go on.
No, but like, so it's like one of those things where it's like, I don't know, man. And it's like, at the same time, if you told me in 25 years that there were, a handful of small selection of ETH NFTs that are like the rookie cards of the early NFT sort of like, creation of utility-based NFTs, in the same way that I just bought a sealed copy of Mario 3, by the way, RWA, real world asset NFT, so it's locked in a Brinks vault, so I have that. Damn. But it's like, the same way that like I bought that or anything else, like that has historical value and personal value to me. So I could see it being a world where, who knows, like maybe they'll be 6-figure values, maybe they'll be worth $6. I don't know the answer. I do know that at some point you do hit a floor because of the value you get out of some of these things, whether it's from the networking or the events you get to go to. But they were overcooked. I think it's fair to say. But it's also like, I don't know, man, like they're priced in, ETH. What if ETH keeps going up? And I don't know. There was a period of time when everybody was so sure that Bored Apes and CryptoPunks were on their way to being 7 figures, right? Is it going to happen? Again, my inclination is probably no, but I feel like, as the technology advances, you never know if these are going to be like, a complete provenance. And now, again, scarcity, being able to find things and sell them, it plays into this. But like, if you want to buy an original Lisa from Apple, right? It's like, or you want to buy a iPhone 1 sealed in box or a Mario 1 sealed in box, that fetches a lot of money.
Yeah.
I don't think it's crazy to think that these will have some sort of value one day. It's just, for me, it's impossible to peg. And that's why I've never bought. I go home with the same, sort of trader mentality that if I don't sell something, it's the same as I went in that day and bought it. And as long as I feel good about the price that it's at, like, I'm just going to keep hanging on to it. And I really, truly think, as crazy as people think this is, that the NFTs that I own have had more value and will continue to have more value in my hands and in my wallet than out of them, based on the fact that I've been able to launch a career here, and I'll continue to hold it that way. And look, if Bored Apes reach $1 million, it's my goal to have enough money at point one day that I don't need to sell it.
Yeah, exactly, man. And I feel the exact same way, man. Same sentiment. I just don't think that. I think that was a one in a lifetime opportunity. I think that was a one in a lifetime events. Like, dude, at the time we had Top Shot and ETH NFTs. I mean, there was some Soul stuff, but like nobody was going over there to Soul and buy an NFT. Everybody was coming in to buy ETH NFTs. All the attention was on ETH NFTs. That's all we had. But now we have Ordinal, Solana NFTs, Cardano, Say NFTs, and I think that, I kind of put the analogy as like a TV, like TV, you know what I mean? Like, you're not going to just watch one fucking channel, you know what I mean? You're going to watch multiple channels, and there's different things out there for different people now, you know what I mean? Like, I said this a long time ago, like, just because, there's all these nice ETH NFTs are out here right now and they're fetching a great price, doesn't necessarily mean that these people resonate with the NFTs that are out today. You know what I mean? Like, maybe someone doesn't resonate with a Bored Ape or a Pudgy Penguin or a CryptoPunk. Like, what then? Like, now they have options. Now they can go to Ordinals and see if they like that community, Solana if they like that. I just think there's just so much out there now where attention and liquidity is going to be evenly distributed, with some obviously having more than other, depending on the current metas and shit like that,
Well, I think we also need to like be intellectually honest that this shit is expensive.
Yeah.
Like, for us, like, we might be like, oh, like doodles are so down, but it still costs $3,000 to $5,000 for you to get one, which is, I mean, here's my mentality before I got into Web3. And again, I was sort of a super saver. It's the way I was able to be an entrepreneur and a consultant and go through the ups and the downs. But like, I bought a car and it cost me like $300 if I want to get like an automatic starter in it, so that like I live in, freaking the Midwest where it gets, below zero, and I could press a button on my phone to warm it up. And I was like, $300 is too much money. I'll deal with being cold. Like, that mentality of like $300 is a lot of money, $100 is a lot of money, $25 is a lot of money. Then you look at the fact that like how warped we are. Pirate Nation is magically airdropping me $5,000 for playing a game. It's like, we are warped in this space with money. So we also have to be honest that while there is a tech barrier, the cost barrier isn't going to go away. And, it'll be interesting to see, because right now our ecosystem is so contained with a certain amount of wallets, and the tech barrier is so high to get on, that even the idea of someone purchasing, there is money in the world to purchase this sort of thing, but there needs to be a spark. Just like the celebrity spark that Bored Apes had, I think. You know what I mean? And again, I don't think this is just the bull case for it happening, but it's just, but I think your TV analogy is really interesting because, back in the day, it was like Seinfeld, Friends, etc. Those things were popping numbers, but that was because you had a limited number of channels. Now, like, my kids will watch whatever they want on their iPad from YouTube. We'll turn on Netflix, then they flip on Crunchyroll and watch some anime. It's like across the board. There's so many options. Like, it's no longer when I grew up and there was one TV in the middle of my family room and that was the only TV in the house. Tough shit. You watch what Dad was watching.
Yeah. Channel 3, man. Fucking Christ, man. They don't even know what the I don't even know remember what it's called, but remember they had the red, yellow, and white fucking things to plug in the back of your TV.
Oh yeah, the cables. What were the cables?
Yeah,
called?
I don't even remember.
Oh man, I'm gonna mix. This is gonna bother me. They start with a C, whatever it is, the type of cables. It's a something cable.
Dude, I can't even tell. But you know what I'm talking about. Now we just straight HDMI, USB-C. You know what I mean? It's wild, man. It's crazy times, man. And technology just doesn't stop, man. But like, going back to what you kind of said, it's very interesting. Like, I'm not, dude, in no way, shape, or form am I like the richest person in the world, and I come from humble beginnings, but like, you're 100% right, dude. Like, $100 to me out here is a lot, like, I like to save my money, and I like to eat at home, things, stuff like that. But when I'm in the crypto game, dude, I'll fucking toss 6 grand into some fucking crazy shit. Like it's nothing, dude. Like sometimes I don't even understand that mentality. Like, how do we do that? Like we spend thousands over here. Our fucking socks have holes. You know what I mean?
Dude, I wear like the same, like literally, it's like I am sitting here in a pair of sweatpants with holes in them right now in
Oh
my
shit,
cold ass basement in my NFT hoodie. It's like this is like the world we live in though, and it's crazy. And
yeah,
I've actually made this recommendation to friends in the space who I'm like, I always say like it's good exercise and it's not fun, but do yourself a favor, go across every wallet you have, everything you have, total the value of your NFTs, total the value of your crypto, and then look at all your other finances. And if you get uncomfortable, you're overexposed. And like,
yeah,
because like, whether it's your Bitcoin or and I've done this before and I've moved things around to different allocations. I've taken money off the table. At one point, I went through a selling spree of NFTs because I realized I felt like I was overexposed. And, like that's a very real thing because you start to do the math. Like I have an account on this thing called Coinly to do my taxes. Like that's how I do my crypto taxes. It's like a really
okay,
good efficient software. And my accountant has access to it. My tax attorney, he just goes in and checks it out. But
nice,
it's like it shows you the totals of your wallets, and you're like, that wallet has how many? No, it doesn't. But then you forget, like, oh, I have this coin, and I have this over here, and I have this
yeah,
locked up in this contract, and I have this many RWAs, and next thing you realize, you're like, shit, that's a lot of money locked up. But
yeah.
again, it's part of it is like, we're banking on the future. Like if
That's
we
true.
believe
That's
that
true.
Bitcoin, ETH, and Sol are going to be worth more in 10 years than they are today, if I had patience in 2017, like I said, man, I'm buying Bitcoin at like 7 grand and buying large amounts of it. It's like, I, I, heck, if I had been even smart enough to buy Bitcoin when it dipped down to 17K,
Yeah,
when like I could have sold my Bored Ape and bought like 4 Bitcoin when it was 17K or 5 Bitcoin. And then, now I'd be sitting on, 400 grand, 350
yeah,
grand.
damn,
So
yeah,
it's like understanding like how overexposed you can be and understanding that. But you're right. Like we sit there and we buy something. We're like, it's an ETH. It needs 3-4 grand. Like that's
yeah,
not
yeah.
not small. That's a ton of
That's a
fucking
ton of
money.
money, yeah. And when you're thinking of like buying, because dude, oh man, dude, it's funny, man. I like to reminisce sometimes, but during the bull, man, dude, like fuck, man, I was a little ignorant, man. I was out there buying shit, dude.
We were
Like,
greedy. We were
yeah,
greedy as fuck.
yeah,
Is what we
dude,
were.
bro,
All of us.
dude. Oh my god, man. That experience taught me a lot, man. Taught me about a lot about bag bias, blind optimism, and everything comes down eventually. Dude, when I at the time, like I said, man, I never done this before, no crypto, no social media before this, dude. I thought this shit went up forever, dude. And I learned real fucking quick that it didn't. So it's a great experience to really get through, man. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything, man, but like I see other people here that been here for many, many, many more years than me and still fall for like the same old, tricks in the books, man. Like, chasing metas, really, really losing it like online and other things like that, man. And it's just, I think, I'm not for sure, but I think I'm on the right path. But, we're going to find out one way or the other, man. But, yeah, man,
Well,
I'm
let
just,
me ask. Can I ask you a question about that?
yeah,
Like, so like, I kind of made this determination. So even though I participated in crypto in 2018, it doesn't really count. Like, I got in, I got out, I got shaken, and I didn't really experience a cycle. Last cycle was sort of my first cycle where I'm like, okay, similar to you, I learned, I set some new principles. I've been selling more even this cycle as things have
yeah,
gone around. Like, I get an airdrop, I'm selling a large portion of it. I don't care. I don't care if anybody's telling me, oh, it's going to keep going up. And I live with that and I cope if it does. But at the
yeah,
same time, like, I'm selling. I felt like last cycle was my cycle to really learn and study and get the privilege of being here. And then this cycle is the one where I don't need to get rich, but I want to set myself up for
yeah,
the next cycle. Like this is the one where I'm implementing learnings, learning more things, being smart, sticking to my guns on dollar cost averaging, not letting myself get shaken out by emotions, not letting myself get over euphoric. Like I feel like last cycle, even though I tried to approach it as academically as possible, I learned a lot.
yeah.
And this is my cycle to like not get like buco rich or crush it. Like I saw some people last cycle who had been here earlier, but this is my cycle to like be smart. And then my next one is the one where I'm like, I'm gonna crush. Like,
Yeah.
are you playing a similar game, or do you think like you're gonna smash at this one?
No, dude, I'm playing the similar exact game. You know, I got my excuse me, I got my ass handed to me out there this cycle, man. And it's just because like, you know, I took the things that I learned and I kind of just not went with my gut, you know what I mean? And dude, similar story, man. I think that I've learned so much from last cycle, so much. And learning from this cycle too, man. I feel so much more confident in this next cycle that I feel like I'm ready to deploy actual because right now, dude, I'm kind of sitting sideline. I'm a little sitting on my hands a little bit just because, dude, like, you know, it's not like I lost a lot of money, but dude, I lost a little bit to where I'm like, fuck, dude, you know, maybe I don't know this cycle that well. You know, maybe I should take a step back and really understand what's going on, man. And I think that like as this cycle goes on, I call me crazy, dude. Call me crazy, dude. Well, I know, but like I think that humans cycle as well. You know what I mean? Like we have our highs and highs, and we have our lows and lows. You know, and I think that financially too. You know, like I think that our first cycle, you know, we made a lot of fucking money, we had good change. And this cycle, we had to pay our due. I have to pay my dues. You know, I made a lot of money my first cycle here, like a lot more than I could ever imagine. And I have to pay my dues. I have to pay back the streets. I have to pay back the dirt. You know what I mean? And um, I feel like next cycle, man, I'm gonna. I feel more confident. You know what I mean? I feel like I understand the patterns more. I understand how these metas work. I don't understand really how the time frame works, but I understand the social aspects of attention economy and how things hit the Twitter streets before they hit the Twitter streets and things like that. You know, and as time goes, man, I just think that you people like you and I are really just like really focusing, really paying attention to what's going on. Um, because I see other people in our class, and I call it our class because you know we all started in 21. Um, that really got shaken out, man. There's a lot of friends that I made in the space that just aren't here anymore. They're just not here. You know, like really cool friends, man, that I met in the very beginning, like 90% of them are just gone. You know, all the people that I interact with now are kind of newish, but like, yeah, man, it's just I think like I said, man, I think I'm on the right and I think I definitely know you're on the right path, bro. Don't you know, but like, you know what I mean? I just
No,
think I
you're
am. Yeah.
I think you are, and I think that's the right way to think about it, where it's like I had a lot of friends who were here who
Mhm.
I was like, they're in it, like looking forward to seeing them, continue to thrive. And they've fallen by the wayside because either A, they had a bad experience, B, they like over indexed maybe themselves. Some are like, I know people who applied their own. Part of what's interesting, this is one of the nice parts about writing a book, was like I was forced to take a global view of the space and not
Mm.
assign my own feelings. So
You
not
you took a step back, like outside of it,
you have to
looking.
step out the matrix almost, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
everybody else is, and not that I wasn't euphoric and made mistakes, but like I was able to see, like when I'm doing research on an ecosystem I'm not a part of because it's applicable to a business and I'm writing a book for a business. When I'm doing that research, I'm like, wait a minute, if that person sounds crazy for this, I sound crazy for this. And so like I kind of had this moment where I couldn't just bail and say like, oh, well, I had a bad experience. I didn't sell ApeCoin when it hit $20. I'm a moron. I had to be like, wait a minute, like my experience and mistake is not what the entire industry is. And I think a lot of people have had a bad experience, whether they bought a moonbird at the top, whether they bought a bunch of, you name it, one of the gazillion NFTs, like gutter cat, whatever was up and then was down. And I think for me, I always, and actually something that I think that I don't know that I want to get rid of, but my wife sometimes hits me on is I am overly hard on myself. I always look to
Mm.
blame myself. What could I have done better? And sometimes she's like, you didn't do anything wrong or something. But I'm always like, there's always something I could be doing
Do
better.
you not celebrate your celebrations?
Never.
Like yeah, I'm the same way, dude. I just don't think I've done enough. But keep going, dude.
No, no, no. So it's like to your point, like I'm hard on myself. I don't celebrate the wins. And so that combined with getting a global view of the space, I feel like it put me in a position to say, okay, I can recognize like what this technology is without ascribing my own personal experience where I've made
Okay.
financial mistakes to it. And I think for a lot of people, they weren't as excited about it. They assigned their own personal experiences, or maybe they just were in it for the money the whole time and they were pretending without, maybe even they didn't realize they were pretending. But I think like the other thing that is important that I see you doing, that I'm doing, is like I'm trying to build meaningful footprints
Yeah.
in this world so that like if there's a bear market, I have work. If there's a
Yeah.
bull market, I have better work. If there's a, and everything in between. And just don't burn the bridges. Don't
Yeah.
get too high on yourself. Don't get, too low on yourself. I'm not as good at that one, but I'm good at not getting too high on myself.
Yeah.
Like I think the biggest thing that you run into that I worry about with creators or people in this space is, if people get too drunk on themselves, then they are already setting themselves up, in my opinion, for like a failure because they're getting way too high in a bull cycle. So I think for me, like, don't get too high in a bull, don't get too down in a bear, and actually try to build picks and shovels. Don't, because I had a conversation, with somebody who was a friend of mine. I won't say who, was in Board Ape Yacht Club, and I remember it was in the middle of the bull. We're getting ready to go to Ape Fest, and he's like, "Hey man, long time no talk. What are you up to?" And I'm like, "Well, this is confidential, but I just signed a deal to work with Starbucks as their community lead on their NFT program. I signed a deal to write a book, and I'm doing consulting with like these two other companies." And the person was like, "Oh, I just sold my ape coin because I had a bunch of apes and I'm just going to parties all over the place." And I'm like, "Look, if you can afford that and that's your life, that's awesome, and I'm happy for you. But like, at some point, if the punch bowl gets taken away,
Yeah.
like, and you've just been going to parties and things like that, again, no shade if that's somebody's vacation, they do it. But I know somebody who then later on, they had to sell their Bored Ape to pay their taxes because they missed their tax bill they didn't pay. They
Yeah.
were partying. It's like the music stopped. And because they weren't, building, and because they weren't learning, and because they weren't trying. And it's not for everybody. Like, I have no shade on anybody who wants to work a corporate job and do this, or doesn't care about that, or just want to take a party and vacation for a few years. All love, like all love, all love. But like for me, for you, for other people, like putting a stamp in this space, I think makes a difference for us. And that's how we can keep going and know that no matter what, we're here this one, we'll be here the next cycle, we'll be
Yeah.
here all the cycles after that.
I completely agree, man. I just really want to, and in my opinion, dude, I think you've done it for sure. I'm still working on it, but like, I'm trying to build like a pillar to where like, I'm not trying to be some big shot or nothing like that, but I'm just be like, hey, FFV, he's been here. He's been here. That's it. Like I just wanted to, my initial intent to coming into this space, man. I just wanted to hang out with people into NFTs. That was my only goal. Like I just wanted to conversate with people into NFTs, buy with people with NFTs, all this shit with NFTs, man. And like I kind of just gradually got into like social media and doing videos and stuff. Dude, I never would have imagined myself doing anything like this, dude. Nothing. Like I was like fucking like one of those people that are like, dude, what? Like you record yourself, dude? That's kind of weird, But like I'm understanding that like, there's different times and moments where we have special opportunities and things that kind of just pop up for us, and I think in a way that kind of happened with you, man, because you made this leap into the space, man, and you are where you are right now, man, which is fucking great. And but like, damn, dude, I could see why, like, if you're not building during that time, like your buddy, how hard it could be during these times, man. Because, dude, fuck, dude, like sometimes it could get lonely too when you're not, and everything's down bad and everything's quiet. But yeah, man, I just couldn't I just couldn't really fucking do or be anything else. You know what I mean?
Well,
But
it's what sticks with you. It's like
yeah,
that's the
yeah,
thing, is like I've done a bunch of things. There's a bunch of jobs I could do and I could do well. But one of the things I realized when Starbucks like closed down their program, and I like put out a tweet that I'm like, hey, guess I'm looking for work. Like, and I took a bunch of calls. I made the decision, like, I'm not gonna take things just to pay the bills, because if
yeah,
I'm gonna do that, I'll go back and I'll work a
yeah,
corporate job.
yeah,
I'll make six figures, I'll get a nice like equity salary, the whole nine yards. I want to be doing something, because I basically still to this day, I make less money in web, 3 than I did in web 2 in aggregate. At least, on a base salary level. And like, I am happier and working more
yeah,
hours than ever, because if I want to do something that I'm not into, I'm out, right? If I
yeah,
want to do something that
immediately.
I'm into, so it's like, I think that's also how you're where you're supposed to be, is that I don't get the
Okay.
Sunday scaries.
Nah.
Like, now, don't get me wrong. Like we talked about, there's been highs and there's been some lows when I'm like, I don't have the job, I'm freaking out, or things aren't going quite right. But like, and actually, I honestly think it's funny because I listen to people like this, like a slight side quest, but like, I hear people like Tim Ferriss who have said like, oh, I wish I had been kinder to myself and I worked myself out and I burnt myself out and I didn't need to. But I'm kind of a believer that you have to climb the mountain if you want to see the view. And for me personally, like I had to go through learning what it is to be an entrepreneur, of not taking care of myself, not sleeping, traveling a ton, having anxiety around certain things and jobs, to realize that I can be a better version of myself now. And it's not that things will always be easy, but like, I don't know, man. Like, I think like the fact that you go through all that and still have this love of the game, it's like that's how you know that you're lacing up to play the game that you're meant to be playing.
Dude, and I love that you brought up the Monday thing, dude, because now you made me realize, dude, like on Sundays, dude, I'm fucking stoked for Monday, dude, because, dude, everybody's there. Everybody's coming in on Monday. Everybody's active on Mondays and shit. Like, I'm not gonna lie, Sundays are pretty boring, dude. Like, no one's really that active on Sundays, but like, I'm glad that you said that, man, because like, I really do feel like I do like belong here. I've never felt like I belonged anywhere else, but like, man, crypto and Web3s and NFTs, man, dude, once I got in here, dude, I didn't spend a fucking day without here. Maybe not even interacting, but reading and all the shit. But dude,
do you feel like you got way more friends here? I feel like I have way more friends than I've ever had in my life.
Way more friends. And it's crazy, man, because I'm so happy that the internet exists, man, because the people, don't get me wrong, I love my friends around me. Don't get me, I love them. I wish nothing but the best for them. But dude, they just, I hate to say it, man, but like, they just don't have the same ambitions as me. You know what I mean? Like, I want to go see the world, dude. I want to go do things. I want to talk to people. I want to fucking do shit, and my friends just don't want to do that. And I kind of had to separate myself from them. I've tweeted this about a couple times, man, but like, it's crazy to me that like my online friends support the fuck out of me way more than my IRL friends, and it sucks.
And they almost know me better. Like, it's
dude,
like
yes, dude. It's man, dude. It's like, I don't know. Maybe we found our people. You know what I mean? That after all the shit that we went through, or our personal lives, and now everything that we've been through, it led us, me and you, together right here, talking. Having a good time, dude. I'm having a great conversation with you, man. I'm happy we did this. But yeah, dude. I just think it's an amazing space and opportunity, man. But dude, I really wanted to talk before I had to let you go, man. I really wanted to talk to you about your book, man. Like, I think that is so fucking cool, man. I'm listening to an audio right now. I can't read, dude. I have bad ADHD, dude. But the audio, I love it, because then when I'm in the audio, sometimes I'm like, I get confused. Like, is this the morning show, or am I? Because I hear your voice sometimes, and I'll be like doing my thing, and I just kind of tune out sometimes. But it's funny, man. But your book, man, I really wanted to talk about your book. So, like, what inspired you to do that? Like, there's not a lot of people out there writing about Web3. Not a lot of books at all. Not a lot of articles or anything, like, not newsworthy or like something that kind of blew up in a way. You know what I mean? So like, what was the inspiration behind that?
Yeah, this is kind of a crazy one. Like, it actually all started forever ago. Like, again, like, it's a longer story than it probably should be, but it's like, it all started in this subduck space called What's Quackin', when I fucking showed up and I heard a guy on stage, Scott Commoners, who ended up becoming my co-author and now one of my best friends in the world. So Scott's on stage talking about how somebody's memes are part of an overall economy and how it works together. And I looked it up. I'm like, this is a Harvard business entrepreneurship and business professor. And here he is, talking about like Web3. And so we started DMing. We would have these deep conversations about like what we thought better applications of NFTs are, product market fit, all this stuff. And then the night before NFT NYC in 2021, my first one, about to meet all my friends who I only know by PFPs for the very first time in person. And he sends me a DM that Sunday night. He's like, Steve, I just got approval to write the first Harvard Business Review article about NFTs. It has to be done this week. I know you're going to NFT NYC. So if you can't write, I couldn't cut him off quick enough and be like, bro, let's start it. I think I wrote the first 3 pages that night. I sent it to him. I go to New York. I'm out until 3 a.m. partying. And I come back and I write it up. I don't drink too much, keep myself in pretty good mindset. I go and edit and cross-edit his thing, go to sleep. Scott wakes up at like 5 a.m. He cross-edits my shit. I get back, cross-edit. So we do this thing, and in a week, while I'm at NFT NYC, we write this thing, collaborate, and have that sucker out. The reception of it was so good in the NFT community, which meant a lot to us.
Dude, like, how did that feel, man? Like,
the NFT community accepting it was the coolest. Well, first of all, like Harvard Business Review was what, like, when I was at like Progressive and Nestle,
Yeah.
that's like what we printed out in trainings for people. And so
Jeez.
getting that shit and being like, I penned that was cool. But then it was like a few months go by and I sent a DM to Scott and I'm like, Scott, I feel like, because both of us got this and we got the reception from like the Web3, that was great. But like outside of Web3, we were getting people asking us about it and saying like, hey, we're using
Damn.
this and blah, blah, blah. And we're like, the only way to scale this is to write a book. I reached out to Scott. I'm like, I feel like there's a book here. And I remember, again, Tim Ferriss, I'm a big fan of. I remember him saying, one, writing a book is really hard. So you're going to really want to write the book and you have to be the right person to write it. I looked at Scott. I'm like, I think we're the right people to write this. I think I want to write it with you. Like, it's really good collaborating with you. And like, we never argued once over the course of 18 months writing this thing. We got signed almost instantly by Penguin Publishing to write it. Like, and so like, here we are, like a year and a half later, 2 years later, it's like we give birth to this book with one of the world's premier publishers about NFTs. And once again, the reception of it was like, we didn't know how people were going to receive it. We were terrified. I was like a basket case going out into the release. And then all of a sudden, it became a piece of social currency for people to post this on the timeline.
Yeah.
Like, I literally still to this day, this book came out 6 months ago. I probably get tagged 5-7 times a week in people saying,
dude,
just bought this
so
book, just
dope.
bought this book. So it was like,
isn't that cool? Like, dude, you're like, you made something that was social currency. Like, bro, a flex. You know what I mean? People were flexing your book.
The wildest shit, man. And like, and then on the back of it, I mentioned Gary Vaynerchuk. He's, you know, he was the first one. And again, like behind me in my background, that's Gary signed the front of that book. I had him, so you can see his little signature there, or whatever. But like, because I'm like, I was like, when I saw him in New York, I was at the Beacon offices with Andy and Jeremy, and like Gary walked in. He's, oh, what's up, Bark? And I was like, dude, this is a very weird ask. Will you sign my book for me? And kind of basically thanked him again, being like, dude, you gave me so much confidence in that meeting. But then, you know, it's like Gary quoted it. Chris Dixon, who wrote Read Write Own, he's got a quote in the back there. 2 Nobel Prize winners, right? Like Adam Brotman, who was the, you know, chief digital officer at Starbucks, and like fucking Jeff Charney, like a mentor of mine, CMO Progressive. Like, these are the types of people that are like, so we have these amazing blurbs. The book sells through and does extremely well for Penguin. They're happy about that. We're happy about that. And it becomes like I blink. And just even going full circle from the beginning of the conversation, should I quit my job? It's terrifying. How crazy am I? And it's I look back and I'm like, co-author first Harvard Business Review article about NFTs, co-author of a best-selling book with Penguin Publishing, spoken at Harvard 5 times in various capacities, featured in TechCrunch, Bloomberg, like did a Google talk, like, you know, host Coffee with Captain every day with one of my best friends, like do consulting and work in the space, work with some of the biggest brands in the world. It's like, you know, spoken on the VCon, NFT NYC stages, like had my face on a billboard in Times Square twice. That's 3 years. And it's like, again, if it all ends tomorrow, like, what a fucking ride that was. Like, and it's like, I never step back to say, if a friend told me that story, I would tell them how awesome it was. But when I tell that story about myself, I'm like, no, I'm just like living and doing my thing and whatever. It's fine. And I downplay it and minimize it. And I've been trying to make an active effort not to say, you know what? Like,
dude, you can't, bro.
Fuck that. Like, let's go.
Yeah, dude. I like the whole time you would explain, dude, I was just fucking smiling, dude. Like, you have to do that. You have to fucking just say like you just said it to me, dude. Cause like, bro, dude, we're as a Web3 community, how small we are, dude. I know for a fact I can say this for most of us that dude, we're fucking proud of you, dude. Like, we're proud to have someone like you, dude, as a fucking community member within us, dude. I mean, like, you know, like it's a proud representation. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you know, people ask, you know, hey, who do I follow? Who do I fucking seek out? You're definitely gonna be one at the top of the list. You know what I mean? It's I'm gonna toot your own horn, bro. You should fucking say it like the way you said it, man, because those are some crazy accomplishments, dude. In 3 fucking years, come on, bro.
It's like, what do the next 10 look like? You know what I mean? And it's just like, and that's what I try to do. I try to hype myself up. I try to get myself going, because it's like I've been so bad at that my whole life. But then similar to like what we talked about everything else, I'm like, you know, fuck it. I got one life. I got one time to try to do it. Like, try to enjoy it. But then I think I'm like afraid that like if I let myself feel good about it, then it's almost like I won't be hungry anymore. I won't keep chasing, or I won't keep have that chip on my shoulder. And I don't think that's the case, but like that I think is the fear of saying like, you know what, this has been pretty cool journey. Like it's like part of me is like, I don't want to feel like I've succumbed to say like, oh, well, that's it. Like, you know, like I won't be hungry anymore. And so I think that's the thing that always throws me out. But like, man, it's a fucking journey. And it's like, it's just such a cool space to work in. And I guess what you kind of said there, like we talk about like all the friends we've made and things. It's like not just the friends we've made. It's like I know people who work across industries, across the world, and I'm more likely if I visit a random city, I'm much more likely to shoot a DM to someone I know who lives there, who's in like
Yeah.
Bored Ape Yacht Club, than I am to shoot a DM or shoot a message to someone I went to high school with or something
Yeah.
like that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like
Oh
that's
yeah.
more likely.
Oh yeah, no, 1,000%, man. And it kind of brings me to the topic of like, dude, NFTs, man. They're just something special, man. Like I've tweeted about. I think you've seen it. I think you commented on something like that. But like, dude, like you can have a community within meme coins, airdrop farm, even the majors, dude. But dude, there could be fucking hundreds. I mean, millions of holders. You know what I mean? Like nobody feels special. Nobody. You know what I mean? Like when I hold ETH and thing, I'm not in ETH group chats, but hey, what's up, man? GM, I love ETH. You know, nobody fucking does. I mean, there probably is, but I don't do that, you know? But like, bro, I bet, dude, me and you, we're in fucking Bored Ape chats, we're in fucking Pudgy chats, we're in this, and it's all sub communities within the same sector. You know what I mean? Within NFTs, but like, there's sub communities within these NFTs that like even the sub communities within sub community. I mean, Bored Apes have a fucking war with like background colors. You know what I mean? Like it's fucking crazy out there, man. But yeah, man, I want to ask you, man, about the your consulting with like NFT projects and stuff, man. I know we don't have a lot of time left, but dude, I wanted to ask you about that. Like, so you've like consulted with like Doodles, On-Chain Monkey, dude, fucking Starbucks. That insane, fucking insane, dude. But like, how do you approach these businesses on advising them? What are some like challenges that these people or these companies have? Especially like something like Starbucks. Like, what was their biggest challenges coming into Web3? Like, what did you advise them on?
Yeah, I mean, I was a community lead. So like for me, it was like, yeah, they asked me stuff about strategy, things like that. And certainly like, you know, you were able to kind of provide there. But for me, it was like I was just the cruise director of the community. So my friends Joe
Dude, that's
over
still a huge thing, dude. I mean, a Web3 community is way different than a fucking Web2 community, you know?
well, and like honestly, like the one of the greatest things I've ever done, and I'm so fucking grateful for Starbucks for that reason. It's like, you know, like my friends Adam. So my friend Adam Brotman used to be the chief digital officer at Starbucks. And him and my friend Joe O'Rourke started a company together that, you know, ended up consulting with them and my friend Morgan on their Web3 division of sort of what they're building. And they needed somebody to do the community. And they basically were like, look, we think you'd be good at this. We think that you could be strong at leading community. We know that you're a community builder by nature. And they also, I think, knew that they could trust me with a client because my job in my Fortune 500s was, you know, I got pulled from Progressive to Nestle to manage someone who was like an executive that was like overly gregarious and almost needed someone to rein them in. And they're like, we need somebody who
Okay.
can talk to them, to listen to. And I had done that at Progressive. One of my mentors, Jeff Charney, he's a self-admitted, he's a disruptor. And sometimes like he would listen to me. And so, you know, that's type of, so they knew when they pull me into this job, they can stick me and I'm not going to be intimidated by a VP or a
Okay.
CEO or anybody else they put me with. I'm going to be okay. And if they leave me alone with the client, they're like, we know that you're good with the client. You're charming. You're fine. You'll work it. So the combination of being able to be good interacting with the client, have that community strategy, and then they just like kind of let me cook in the community. They let me interview all sorts of great people, like in the gated Discord chat from like, you know, Web3 people to, you know, Ryan Wyatt when he was president of Polygon over to like, you know, Vinny Hager, you know, an artist that I really like to the creator of the pumpkin spice latte, like all these amazing things.
Damn.
And build this really fun community that was awesome and just great. And honestly, like it was just I think with Starbucks, what made them really good is they, you know, they are so good at loyalty and they took that and applied Web3 to it. And they knew like they listened to like counsel, but like, God, I mean, I can say this now, they're not doing it, but like I would have done that job for free because I learned so much about customer loyalty from the best
Wow.
customer loyalty people
Oh,
on the
damn.
planet. It's like And so I was just a sponge. So, just community stuff, but like eternally grateful for what I learned there and the opportunity I got from like Joe, Morgan, and Adam. It's like just absolutely the coolest thing
Dude,
to,
it's so fucking
work with
dope,
them
dude.
on that. So yeah, so that's what they were missing. And not even missing. It's just, that's what they were shooting for.
Yeah, damn. Yeah, that's fucking awesome, man. I mean, just to say that, dude, like you were one of the first, groups of people to do that with Starbucks, getting into Web3 and stuff. And I don't know, dude, there's a lot of companies that, came in and left and, I wouldn't say they failed, but they tried. I don't think this is the last time they'll ever do that. And for you to have your repertoire that you have, these companies going to be like, yo, dude, who fucking worked with Starbucks? Let's get those fuckers on here. Things like that, dude. It's just like, yeah, like we talked about before, man. You're setting yourself up for like the future, not just for the current metas and shit like that. And that's what I'm trying to do too. Like I've learned a long time ago that I'm going to be focusing, or not a long time ago, like probably a few months ago, I was like, you know what, dude, I kind of overextended myself with, content and doing these things on the crypto and side stuff. But like, I'm going to focus content side wise. I'm just going to focus on podcasting and Web3 gaming. I love fucking video games and I love talking to people. So I'm not going to be fucking around with anything else until I got this shit down. You know what I mean? But yeah, dude, man, great
That's fucking
conversation.
smart though, dude. Like that real quick. I mean, like, that's what I like about you and the way you're approaching it is that like, I like for me, like I decided that I want to commentate in the market and I cared about the direction of the technology really early on. And that led me to that HP article and everything else. Like you being like, I want to create content and I want to get like, that's where I'm at right now. It's like, I want to do some consulting, but like, I'm going to start doing more content. I'm going to be starting podcasting. I'm going to be doing more, not just coffee with Captain. I'm going to be creating more videos. And I sort of made the decision. I'm like, fuck, man, what makes me happy? And if I can pay the bills, it's not that I'm trying to get rich right now.
Yeah.
It's that I'm trying, like being an entrepreneur. It's like, I used to think that was like, oh, you're just taking a shot at being rich and you see what happens. Nah, it's about waking up and doing the thing you love every day and understanding that like you're chasing your purpose. And to me, it's like, I've thought about starting businesses before. I would have hated all of them and I would have gone right back because they weren't what my thing was. This is my thing. And I just don't know what would ever shake me from it.
I completely agree, man. Once I got in here in this space, man, I was like, oh yeah, dude, this is for me. And that's why I don't sweat when prices are down. Dude, I'm here for the rest of my fucking life. You know what I mean? Like, I think I'm going to see some green times again, but it's funny, man. You got time for one more question, my guy?
Let's do it. Yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
For sure.
Fuck yeah. Thank you. Last but definitely not least, dude, I want to talk about Coffee with Captain, your daily morning show, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern, which, dude, I definitely recommend everyone here to tune in. I do mostly every day. If I'm up early enough, I'm on PST. But what inspired you to do that show? And what were you hoping to accomplish it when you were starting it?
Oh, so this is a great one because this is like a total accident that happened.
Oh, nice. I love accidents like this, man.
Chris Captain, my co-host, he started it. Like, I remember when he was going to start it where he was like, look, Chris wanted to keep himself accountable for paying attention to what happened overnight in the crypto markets. And I had no co-host job. I was at a corporate job when he started. I was still at Nestle. And I remember I would listen the first few. So the first few I wasn't the co-host for. And then I started getting away with where like, I could kind of not have my meetings start until like 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning. And so I started hopping in and listening more and I started coming up to talk. And one day Chris just allows me the co-host invite. Co-host, hey, do you want to accept the co-host invite? So I take it. The next day, he allows me a co-host invite. And then like sooner or later, it was almost like I always describe it like I'm like a feral cat that Chris kept leaving tune out for. And then like one day I just got into the house. And it's funny because Cap has like a bunch of cats. And so it's like actually a great analogy. Yeah. But like, you used to have a couple of dogs, but I just got a bunch of cats. And like, it's funny because like, that's what it became. But like, Chris is along with like Scott, like just like the greatest collaborators I've ever worked with in my life, where we just gel extremely well. Nice. There's no ego. Like, and that I think is the number one thing on both my collaborators is neither one of us need credit, need to say like, this is better, that like, we just want the best possible product. Like when I would edit Scott during the book, no offense, none taken. When he edits me, no offense, none taken. When Cap and I are talking and we're like, it's just a dynamic that works really well. And it's crazy because if there's anything to be said about that, it's the value of consistency.
Yeah.
Because we just kept showing up. Like when we first started doing that space, there was like 12 listeners, not 12 in and like 12 total, not like in and out, not like at a time. It was like nobody was there. It was just us talking. It was basically a phone call, right? And then flash forward, it's like if we don't go over 1,000 on a day, it's a small day. And it's like the only reason
dude.
and for our little corner of the internet, I mean, like between
That's
that and podcast,
yes.
like I mean, you're talking like 400, 500,000 maybe a year of listeners. And so, you know, not huge for big podcasts, but for us, it's pretty good. And so like, it's consistency. And like the thing we were hoping to get out of it is like, we just wanted to do the news of the day, potentially talk to some pretty cool people. And then over time, what we found was by accident, there was this hole in the market for what we are, which is we are dudes in our 40s who have, you know, kids and stuff who just like approach the market from more of like an organized business perspective. Like we're not going to shout. We're not going to create drama out of nothing. Anytime you hear us arguing or going nuts, that's our legitimate reaction. And I'm not knocking other types of content because God knows I listen to all the other creators and I try to learn from every single one of them because all of them do great shit. But like for us, you know, we realize that like not every creator wants to show up to a space of like a 22-year-old who maybe doesn't have the same life experience perspective as them. And that's no shade at them or anything like that. It's just people like to listen to people they feel like they not just feel like, but they are. Our community is awesome, that they're friends with, that they get, that they understand, that are reasonable, that are maybe going to have those, you know, deeper, intelligent conversations at times. And, you know, we're not just going to jump on the meta. Like when the whole Ben.Eve thing was happening, we never covered it. We never brought him on. We never talked about it. And we caught some shit for that because people are like, oh, it's the meta right now. And we're like, it's not our type of stuff. And that's okay because like we have things that are our type of nonsense, you know, like, and so it just became a thing where Cap and I remember when Cap and I were on a Bored Ape space that like Josh Ong or Baron was hosting back in like 2021. And, you know, like Cap, like, and I met, we found out we both went to Ohio State at the same time. He was in a frat with people I went to high school with, and yet we never crossed paths. Never crossed paths at the same time.
What a small fucking world, man.
Like we definitely, there is beyond the shadow of a doubt, it is impossible that Cap and I were not at the same parties, right? And so like we never met at that time. And then we're like talking about like stoicism, and he's like, I have the Daily Stoic on my nightstand. I sent him a picture. I DM'd because the Daily Stoic was on my nightstand right then. And we felt so connected. And then when we met for the first time, we got along. And it's just been, since then, it's just been like, you know, every day, if we have a disagreement, we talk it out. But like, it's really interesting working when you're in a space where with your best friends, you would send them an ETH, like $3,000 if they needed it on the, no problem. You'd be like, hey, I know you got me to pay me back. And you'd send someone thousands of dollars who you maybe you've never even met in your life at times. You know that that's the collaborator you want to work with when you can do that. Cause like we jump in and like, if we're working on a sponsorship deal, I don't have to worry about like Cap shorting me or pulling any sort of shenanigans to try to get money. Same with me. It's like, I'll give him the shirt off my back if I have to. And, you know, it's like, what's mine is his, what's his is mine. And it's one of those relationships where I can't believe that we get sponsorships to wake up and have a conversation with my friend for 2 hours every morning. It flies by. And the greatest stories you get, let me cap it off with this. I'll tell two like stories that are like exactly why I'm here.
Yeah.
Story number one, I'll talk coffee with Captain. Story number two, I'll finish with the book. Story number one, coffee with Captain, is we're down there and there's this guy Peanut who listens, who I love Peanut. He's always in the comments. He can't come on stage. He's in but he has like an hour drive to work every single morning, or hour 15 minutes, something like that. And he's told me at Consensus, we did a live show. We just kind of hung out. It was like we did a show because Consensus is an hour before. So we went from 7 to 8 or 7 to 9. And then Michael Keene, our buddy from the NF Ticket from NFT Catcher podcast, busts out the biggest joint I've ever seen in my life. So at that point, we were all, and then by the way, some dude who's working, I won't say where or who it was, he was working at Consensus on one of the booths. We sent him off to work. I'm like, that dude's going to work now. We're in space. But Peanut's sitting there and he's like, bro, like, he's like, you guys get me through my drive. I listened to it and I legitimately like, and it wasn't a weird thing because it's true. Like, I feel like I knew him before I met him. He's like, I feel like I know you guys. And of course, like we hung out, we got barbecue, we kicked it, like, but he felt like, you know, it's like, you feel like you to know people, even though he never's come to stage before. We've only met in person once. So like, when you hear people saying like, you get that, get me through my morning. Or like, another story. This is my favorite one with the book. It's like, I have a buddy Mars who like had me on his podcast before the book came out. And I had gotten this pre-stack of books, and he was like, yeah, my dad, he like loves tech. We play chess on the Oculus, but he just won't get NFTs. He thinks it's silly. And I was like, well, what if I sign a book for your dad and send it to him? It's not even out yet. And he's like, okay, cool. So I do that, send him a nice note, like, hey, your son's awesome, like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, sign it. And he's like, sends a message. He's like, yo, my dad is 9 pages into this book and said he finally understands what I'm talking about.
Oh, shit.
2 chapters later, his dad set up a wallet. 3 chapters later, his dad's bought an NFT. Like,
damn.
A father and a son. And I'm like, I told Scott, I'm like, this is why we do this. You do this because you have a community of people on Coffee with Captain that you get through your commute that you absolutely adore, and they adore you right back. You have a, group of people who read a book who are then creating a father-son bond. Like, we know how much, like, what do we just talk about? How much this NFT shit matters? Imagine your parents like, this is dumb, I don't get it, to like your parents in NFT communities with you. It's like,
that'd be so cool.
That moment. So like, it got me goosebumps just talking about it. And it's like, when I think about Coffee with Captain, when I think about the book, when I think about everything else I do, it's like, that's why I do it, to like hear those stories or know that like Cap and I have gone like 665 episodes Monday through Friday since December of 2021. One of us has been on every single one. X Space is down. We did it in Discord. One of us has been on that show. Like, we've had co-hosts. We have an paper. Like, one of us has been there every single time. And the reason is, like, I remember when I got back from Consensus a couple weeks ago. I had the flu. I was sick. My wife was sick. She's like, I can't believe you got up and did Coffee with Captain, and then you just passed right out. I'm like, you show up to work. And we show up to fucking work if we're gonna go up to work. And like, I think people appreciate the consistency. I think they appreciate the uniqueness of us being ourselves. And from there we ride.
Dude, 1,000%, man. And I'm glad that you said how much work it is to fucking get to where you're at, dude. Because people really think that, posting a couple vids here, doing a couple vids or spaces here and there, they think that it's gonna blow up or something like that, dude. But like, dude, you have to be fucking every day, love this shit, dude, unrelentlessly, dude. Like, and dude, where you're at, you well deserved, dude. Man, god damn, bro, you guys have been working so fucking hard, man. It's crazy, dude. Like, a couple things on that, dude. Like, I love that. Oh, I guess a point, really, but like, I love one of the facts that, like, when you and Steve, or not Steve, you're fucking Steve, Captain, go up there, and you guys don't always agree. You guys don't always agree with each other, and for me, that's a breath of fresh air, dude. Because like, I like other space. I like other creators and stuff, dude. I mainly listen to you and the Nifty Porter show. That's pretty much it, to be honest with you guys. But like, dude, like, fuck, bro, like, it's a breath of fresh air because like, not to try and sound vulgar, dude, but like, goddamn, everyone's up there just fucking sucking each other off, dude. Like,
dude,
come on,
I was gonna say
like,
that exact analogy. I'm like, we're not gonna do that,
Yeah, dude. I'm like, fuck, dude. I'm just like, but like, it's a breath of fresh air, man. So it's the other thing too, man, is that like, you mentioned that like, there's other creators out there. I think that like Web3 creators, dude, we're becoming like channels now. You have your channel, which I personally prefer because no one's really screaming in my fucking ear or anything like that. I get, but then again, dude, sometimes I do want to hear that stuff, so I'll go to that show when it happens, or other things like that. I'm saying that like now that there's options, you are one of the I'm confidently saying this, that you guys are like one of the pillars of like not entertainment and education. You know what I mean? And then there's other entertainment and clown stuff like that, but like, for me personally, as I view it, and I think of myself as like a huge community person looking in. Dude, you guys are the shit, bro. You guys are just the fucking shit, man. I love your spaces, man, and I show up there daily, dude. Especially when I get up early enough, dude. And the whole like, this is just like a random story, dude. But I've never told this story before. But like, I forgot you were mentioning how you would send thousands of dollars to like, your buddies in crypto and stuff, you got you. Random fucking thought that popped in one time, dude. This guy had no idea or he had I had bought in the ENS name Zach XPT so I can send it to him. Yeah, so I can send it to him. And So he had done like an investigation for someone or something like that along those lines. And the person that tried to pay him paid the ENS. So the money went to me. Yeah, dude. All of it. Yeah, dude. Like, and I don't know. I've been following Zach XBT for a while, and he hits me in the DMs. He's like, dude, like, as soon as it hit, like, it took him 5 minutes to find out who the fuck I was, dude.
I was gonna say,
yeah,
that's
dude.
the most terrifying fucking DM ever. Zach
Yeah,
XBT
dude.
He's like, if you don't send that money, I will ruin you.
Dude, he was like, dude, super nice guy, dude, super. He was like, hey, man, you know, there was a mistake. You know, you own this ENS, and, you know, this guy accidentally sent it to you. Is there any way that you can at least send 50% of it? I was like, no, dude, I'm gonna send all of it back, dude. I'm not gonna fucking keep a dime, dude. That's crazy.
What a like classic crypto homie though.
Yeah,
yeah. And he basically was like, hey man, if you could send 50%, I'd appreciate it. Like,
yeah,
like that's such a crypto line of like being like, look, self custody, mistakes were made, people did it. That's fucking sick that he said it. Let me have.
Yeah, dude. So I was just like, no, dude, that's crazy. I'm not gonna fucking do that. I'm sending all that shit back, dude. So I sent all that money back, and I got a follow, bro. So that was a funny little story. But back to you, man. It's a great thing that like you do what you do, man, because you bring fucking value to the space, man. True, pure fucking value, man. And if no one's ever told you that, I'll fucking be the one. Dude, you bring value to the space. Thank you.
Yo, I appreciate that more than you know. And, you know, obviously, like, you know, we get on X and have for, you know, freaking 3 years now, which is wild. Like, it's like also wild to think, like, say that out loud. Like, we've known each other for 3 years. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's like, it's like, if you don't see me on the timeline or I don't see you on the timeline, I was like, I'd be like, hey, what's going on here?
Yeah,
right?
what's going on?
You have those moments, and it's like, so yeah, no, man, it's fucking wacky, and I appreciate you, and just, you know, keep doing what you're doing, man, because like you're crushing it, and you're right. I think of it as different channels, different styles, like maybe like podcast, more streaming, X Space is more like terrestrial TV, and I, you know, and that's why I tell people, like, if someone's like, ooh, how do you feel about like competition or this or that? I'm like, honestly, if someone jumps off us and goes to like Nifty Portal, I used to listen to Nifty Portal when I walk my dog every day before I did a podcast.
Yeah.
I don't get offended. Like, just like your show, sometimes your show is going to be pumping, you know, and you're going to want to listen to that, and sometimes not. That's cool. And like, you know, you're doing the same thing. You're creating content. You're putting good shit out in the wild. So appreciate you right back. And like, this is, you know, it's always good to, you know, it's good to connect with people who are just like, and actually have the real conversations with people who are like here building, doing the damn thing.
I appreciate you, man, especially coming for you, man. I look up to you guys, man. The content that you guys do is fucking amazing. But dude, that's all I had for you today, my guy. But before we sign off, please let everyone here know where to find more information about you and everything that you're doing here.
I mean, honestly, easiest way is going to my X account, NFTBark, at NFTBark. You'll see a big picture of my face with an orange background there. If you're listening to it anytime soon, that's what I'm keeping for now. And then I've got my hair, everything else. If you're looking to support me, the best way to do that is to follow me on X and purchase a copy of the Everything Token. You can find it anywhere books are sold. Big orange book. You know, show it to a friend and family member, and find me out there. So those are the two best ways to do it. Oh,
dude, awesome, man. Thank you again for hopping on the show, man. Thank you for bringing us value every day in the morning. Thank you for being you, bro.
Right on, man. Appreciate you.
Hey, have a good day, brother.
You too.
Hey, man.